kvgiradio.com. Welcome to Urshel Speaks, where our mission is to have the right words at the right time to change the world, because what the world needs now is not another boring talk show or opinionated podcast. Our purpose is to speak life, wisdom, and opportunity so we can all do our part in making this world a better place. So welcome to our It's Gotten Cold in Texas episode of Urshel Speaks. And this first segment is brought to you by Lean Evolution, revolutionizing the world one process at a time through Lean Six Sigma training. You can go to leanevolu.com. That's leanevolu, leanevolu.com, leanevolu.com, and check us out. Check out our CEO and founder of Lean Evolu, Marija. Good morning.
Good morning, Urshel. How are you?
I'm doing well. Coming off this great Veterans Day weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, being a Marine, Veterans Day is preceded by the Marine Corps birthday by a day, November 10th. Those fanatical Marines that we are, we really aren't really team players when it comes to certain things. And so, we do celebrate Veterans Day, and we go out and get the free meals and all of those types of things as well. But we also have our own birthday celebration. And this one was a great one this year, 243 years, 1 year older than the nation. But this particular year, we celebrated something special, and I'm excited, obviously, always excited to have you here as a co-host, but I'm excited about our guest today because what we celebrated this year as a part of our celebration is 100 years since females were allowed to join the Marine Corps and be a part of our branch of the service. And so that was a great celebration. Many past female Marines were celebrated. All the ones that were there were celebrated and had a good time. And so I left the celebration before the debauchery began, but it was still great. So tell me, how was your Veterans Day weekend?
It was amazing. I really enjoyed myself. It was kind of chilly outside, but I was able to link up with some of my partners in crime, aka my veteran sisters, and we went out and really enjoyed ourselves for Veterans Day. Besides me like ripping and running errands and things of that nature, but big thanks to all the businesses out here that supported our veterans. We really appreciate you guys, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't feel that special. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. And breadwinners, you guys are awesome. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's awesome. We really do appreciate the businesses that take the time to acknowledge those that have served. It's just a good thing to do, not because I'm a veteran and you're a veteran. It's great for people in our nation to show honor to people that honor is deserved and show respect. And so it's just a good way for our nation to do what we love for people to do, and that's be better humans. So. But also, we've been telling you that on this show, we're going to be bringing you people that are making things happen, that are doing great things, people that we want to be associated with, and people that are going to impact your life in a positive way because you opened up your ear holes, you got up in the morning, and you listened to Urshel speak. So this morning, we have Ty Young that is joining us, coming to us from Charlotte, North Carolina. Is that right, Ty?
Charlotte, North Carolina, 704, baby. Yes.
704. 704. I got an uncle there that is an amazing man. Matter of fact, recently they just named the street out of him. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a little bit about Ty before we get into the rest of our show. But Ty Young was born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, and was Miss Veteran America 2016 first runner-up and a current brigade accession and retention officer, Branch Chemical Division, serving in the 103rd Maneuver Enhancement Brigade. Continuing her education in her home state, she graduated from the University of North Carolina in 2011. Currently, a graduate pre-med student at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, she applies to medical school in the summer of 2019. She served in Germany from 2011 to 2015. Someone else I know did that. And took command of Headquarters Battalion, 5th Battalion, 7th Air Defense Artillery Regiment, and deployed in support of Operation Active Fence in 2013. Penning captain and attending the captain career course in 2015, she finished her active duty time under the 82nd Airborne Division, January 1st,
Cool.
2017. Her highest awards are the Meritorious Service Medal and 2 Army Commendation Medals, along with the Gold German Proficiency Badge. She is a Facebook and YouTube vlogger and is known as Ty M. Carolina, with over 19,200 followers on Facebook and over 3 million views. Her video was aired live on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Since she has created Ty M. Carolina Marketing and consults with small businesses and individuals branding and using social media. So again, welcome to the show, Ty.
Thank you so much. That is crazy to hear what people get to hear about you. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it is, and sometimes this is one of the hard things to do when we talk to veterans about how they market themselves and things like that. Sometimes this is one of the most challenging things to do, is to really lay out who you are and what you've done, and it's kind of antithetical to who we are as service members, in the sense that what you don't go around doing is bragging about yourself or wearing your resume on your sleeve, right? But in the marketing world and in the business world, you have to be able to, because you're the first product. Before anybody hires you or contracts you for anything else, you're the first product. And so, but then there's also this wise saying that says, "Let another man's lips praise you, and not your own." So it's a pleasure for me to be able to tell everybody about all the things that you seem to have going on. So you're not a person that's letting moss grow under your feet. You have a lot of things happening in your life. Is that a fair assumption on my part?
Oh, that's definitely fair.
Right. So what are some of the big things that you have going on right now, or where is your passion focusing you right now outside of your education?
I was about to say definitely biochemistry, because I'm doing that right now. But outside of my education, I am focusing on branding and marketing veteran-owned businesses. And that really makes me excited, because I feel like we get exposure, but we don't have the right avenues. Like, we don't know where to go to say we can support these veteran businesses and see all of them in a row. So I am doing my best, once I created TyMCarolina.com, to have a specific section that's called Vetpreneurs. And that way, when anyone comes to my site, they can see, oh, this veteran site sells clothing. This veteran site does logistics or firearm sales. This veteran-owned business does photography. And so it's like a one-stop shop to them being able to support that veteran-owned business. And that's the biggest thing that I'm working on right now. I do brand for individuals outside of veterans, and that's specifically just branding, telling them, all right, you need to get this book deal. Okay, you need to show up to that event. And I do a lot of interviews. So that's why I kind of dabble between the NFL and the NBA with doing their interviews, because that's branding and getting them more exposure, and that kind of paves the way so that I can do all of the veteran marketing for free, because I don't actually charge the veterans for this job.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I do not charge them. Now, when it goes to looming ads, now that's a different story, but when it comes to just posting on the website and showing their expertise, I do that completely free, but I still have to make sure I can run the website.
There you go. Got to make that money. So tell me, where does your marketing and branding expertise come from? Is that all self-taught? Is that part of your education, or where did you develop your skills there?
That was all self-taught. Over the last year, what I noticed was that when I spoke about a business, that people were like, oh, well, let me check it out. And it's specifically from my audience. My audience wants to know what I'm doing, what I'm using, how I'm living my daily life, and how I'm making it through. And I use all of these services, and all the time I would get inboxes. Oh, what are you wearing? Oh, what did you do this day? Okay, cool. I've seen that person before. So I decided to, let's see if I can do interviews with politicians that reached out. Let's see if I can do that. And from then, it was just like everyone wanted to know what this business was doing, how they were doing. And so I decided I'm going to make sure that if I'm going to market them, I'm going to do it right, and they at least have the visual representation that they deserve. And it worked.
Wow, that's amazing, and so impressive. I remember, and you and I have never met in person. We've only met online, and I was expecting that honor at the Military Influencer Conference 18, which at the last minute I had to call Cortez and tell him I wasn't going to be able to make it. So I was disappointed, but I know Marija was there and was blown away. Yeah. And what did you think? Because the first year was here, so you weren't here. What did you think of the Military Influencer Conference and the impact that it's having?
Oh my goodness. The networking, the connections, the almost free education and little nuggets that no one tells you. I think the biggest thing that sets the Military Influencers Conference apart is people being candid.
Yeah.
In these other conferences, they're all like, this is how you network, this is what you say, but there are a couple curse words to bring you back to reality of what you're doing wrong. And that's like the veteran motto.
Yeah.
You don't want anybody who's going to sugarcoat it. Your first sergeant isn't there to be your friend. Your first sergeant is to keep everything aligned and do the dirty work when you have to go be in front of the boss. And so the Military Influencers Conference is that first sergeant that's like, no, you need to get your act together while you're standing in the boss making those big, tough decisions. All the while, they've got your back. And I think that was such a vital resource to be able to see the various businesses and see their ethic and kind of see how they function.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely spot on with that. I mean, the level of honesty and sharing and networking that I've seen. I mean, with the Military Influencer, it starts even before you get there. It starts
Right.
on the WOVA app. People are connecting and setting up things that have never met, and then people are sharing and looking to help. Well, I've got a whole bunch of questions that I'm going to ask, and I'm really thankful that you're going to be with us for 2 seconds. But see, I heard that you and my co-host Marija, you guys have a little bit of history. Marija, is that true?
Yes, it is. Some for on
Just to get out
air,
there.
yes, and some for off. But yes,
Well, before you go there, just let me remind you both that this is internet radio, so we don't have the same standards as for the FCC. So
we never did anything bad or malicious, Urshel.
okay, all
Never
right.
did that. All I can say is Sai is such a sweetheart and so genuine. I never met anyone that genuine and nice and ready to help people, right? And just looking at her back then and watching her progression to this day, she has really come a long way.
Yeah.
And she's
thank
persistent and so
you.
consistent. Oh, you're welcome, sister. But yeah, she's such a sweet girl and just so smart. And I'm so proud of you. Go rock that medical field, girl. Yes. Pre-med
Yes.
it up. Do it for me, please. So I can go
Yeah.
ahead and say, yes, I know her for sure. But Ty is wonderful and so inspirational, especially to younger female officers that's in the military, because we both were in Germany together in the Army, and female officers were scarce.
Mm.
Yeah,
Very. And
especially black ones.
exactly. I remember, Ty, when I was on ROB for years, I was the only black female officer, commissioned officer on that base for a couple of years until, the others came or whatnot, and when you guys transferred down. But that was crazy to me.
Wow.
And just seeing how far we have come, especially you, and you're still rocking and rolling, not only in your civilian sector with your business, but with the Guard
Yeah.
too. So big ups and big props to you. I really love it.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so I didn't want to gloss past your educational pursuits, of which obviously there are many as we read off, but tell us a little bit about what your plans and aspirations in the medical field are.
Yes.
Once I apply to medical school, I'm hoping to attend Wake Forest University. And my goal is to be a family medicine physician because I ultimately want to be the director of a VA. And the reason I want to do
Wow.
this is because I feel like they don't have that balance between somebody who's seen the pain and somebody who's felt the pain. And I want to ensure that veterans are getting preventative medicine versus reactive medicine. And that could save us money, but it could save lives more importantly. And so I want to go 4 years of medical school, attend residency, practice for a few years, get that experience under my belt, and then eventually do more policy and ethics. And I have no idea how I'm going to be able to balance all of that between Ty and Carolina, but I do plan on by then having an awesome team that kind of runs the show, and then I can facilitate things and ensure that the other side of the house of, veterans being entrepreneurs and then making their business goals can be done as well. So it's just a well-rounded network of veteran support. But that's what I really would like to do. And having been a patient at the VA, especially for women, the struggle is real. The struggle is real of them not having services dedicated to women, which almost cost me my life. So I'm willing to be there for it.
We support you 100%. Thank you, honey. Thank you. We really appreciate that for sure.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is so much. I mean, we're coming up on our first break here, and you know, like I said, I've got a bunch of questions, and I want to talk about your sources of motivation and the challenges that you faced, and with the amount of adversity that you've experienced personally. What are the fuels and the things that keep you moving? Because we really want, personally, I want to know because I want to be better, right? But I know that our audiences do as well. So we're going to take just a quick 2 minute break here and pay some of the bills. But ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Ty Young on Urshel Speaks with Marija and I. And you should be excited. You should be texting someone right now and telling them to tune in because you're getting ready to hear some even greater stuff that's going to be better than coffee to get you moving this morning. Come back and see us right after the break. All right. And so we're still live with the Facebook audience now, but as far as the radio, then we're not. So, but wow, Ty, this is awesome. I'm getting excited here. I might have to stand up or pass an offering plate or something before this is done.
Let me tell you, we all support you on that VA thing because I just left VA. Oh my gosh, last week on Tuesday, and I was so disappointed. And I know it's
Right.
not the actual people there that's working because they're just doing their 9 to 5. And they have,
Yeah.
well, here in Dallas, let me tell you, it's so big. The VA population is so large. We have 2 hospitals out here. And girl, they had to build like 3 parking garages because it's not enough space. It's over 200,000 veterans here. And
Wow.
the VA, I live like an hour and darn there a half away from VA. And I have to drive there. So it's so many things you can do. And I remember when I was talking to my counselor, I was like, look here, guys, I do process improvement. Y'all need to call me. Y'all really need to call me. But that is amazing. And we need it, yes.
It's so true. We have a few VAs here in Charlotte, and we are pretty good. Like, especially in the psychology department, they're doing really well. They help me a lot, but they didn't have women's services, and because of that,
Wow.
I almost
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with cancer all of a sudden without them
Yeah.
ever being able to check because I kept showing up and they're like, oh, we don't have that service today. And I was like, why did you book my appointment? I come the next day. Oh, we actually don't have time for you today. Well, then why did you book my appointment?
Wow.
And so that delayed the process. And, of course, I'll talk about that when we go back. But had it not for me being basically staying call security, I could be in terminal cancer right now.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, well, I met actually with the director of the VA here in Dallas and had about an hour and a half, he, I, and one other person to sit down and do an interview. And he had been there about 6 months. And we'd seen some changes in the process there. And we talked about it. We were very honest with him. And he told us that it's been almost a year ago now, I think November or December, he reported and took over the Dallas VA. But he checked in to the VA just like anybody else his first day. And he said the experience was horrible. And the next day, his first day in the office, he had all of the directors in his office.
Yes.
And they started making changes right away because the people didn't know him when he came in, checked in. So he was going through exactly what everyone else goes through without any changes. So that's awesome.
And I think you're doing it the right way too, Ty, just because your experience and your passion for our veterans. But not only that, you're building your foundation now. So if you have all these big supporters now, just imagine once you reach that point in the next 5 to 10 years. Dude, you're going to rock the house. You're going to have congressmen. The president is going to come shake your hand, ma'am. I just want you to know that. I'm predicting this. He's going to say, yes, ma'am, please
That's
take
what
over.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I believe in you.
Thank you so much. It's a hard road, but I don't know. I don't really think about that. I just want to do it.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's the beautiful thing. And, I tell people all the time, I stop asking my children, well, probably never really did, what do you want to be when you grow up? But asking them, what impact do you have? What change do you want to make when you grow up? How do you want to make the world better? Just so that they're thinking about purpose and not just about a job. And that's something that I hear in everything that you're saying. And I'm really excited. And so I hope, somewhere in the line after Ricky Smiley and Tom Joyner and Oprah and all of these other people who are going to do interviews with you in the future, I hope I can get in that line. Somewhere down
No, you'll be right there with me. Y'all are gonna be right there
Look
with
here, I'm
me.
about to sign up. Like, how do? That's one of my questions for you, but I'm gonna wait.
Awesome.
Wow, this is amazing. This is so exciting. It's like talking to your two favorite people, and you're just like, la la la. This is life.
Yes, yes.
I love it. We're gonna get and I don't know. I got a few people lined up, but then I'm looking forward to having one with like you and Bernard Edwards and just getting
Oh, yeah.
For Sheehan Show,
several of the power
Fridays at
players
1
ready.
p.m.
All right, we're getting ready to go back.
Awesome sauce.
All right, we're back for our second segment on Urshel Speaks, and we still have Ty Young with us, and we're having a great time. For those of you that are listening on the KVGI radio app or listening live on the website, and for those of you that are checking us out on Facebook Live, good morning to you, and thanks for staying with us. And I'm going to get right back into talking to probably the most interesting person that I'm going to talk to today, Ty Young. And I know my wife is probably listening, and you've already gone up on her list when you said there's something about going to Wake, which is where she went to school as well. And she tried to make me root for another basketball team because of Tim Duncan, and he went to Wake Forest. And I was like, sweetheart, it doesn't work that way in Texas. I'm a local guy, so it's got to have Dallas on it. But so wow, so several.
It was literally a name change that I had to make after my video went viral and Ricky Smiley shared it. So I wanted to make sure that Time Carolina was something about me, something that I couldn't be. I am the normal, spastic kind of Army girl that likes to do everything, but I could never really grasp the concept of being a total me, the girl who was going to be like, no, I'm very direct, but can still wear bright yellow and, short sundresses, or the girl that could still fight for community activism, or the girl that could knit a sweater, like whatever I wanted to do, or build a car.
And get online and say, I bought all this from Walmart.
Yes.
Looking good.
I get it all from Walmart. So I wanted to be, that type of girl. So what I set out was, I'm going to make videos, and anything that I want to share and talk about with the world, I'm going to do it, no matter how hard it is, no matter if it's going to make people really mad, no matter if it's going to make people not like me anymore. And so I also wanted to start the venture of like clothing, because motivation is everything. I wake up every single day saying it will be done, even when I'm like dragging my left foot. It will be done. And so I started Carry On, which is my motivational clothing line, and then I branched Time Carolina into all of the fashion that I like to do, because I love fashion, but I could never really do that in the military when I wear the same outfit every day, So I started that, and it just happened after Walmart like Instagrammed me, and they were like, hey, we like your photos, can we use them? And I'm like, yeah. Well, why can't I do that with my own clothing? If they like it, then I'm styling their clothes, then I can style my own, and maybe people like my styling concepts and they'll buy them, and then that could fund all of my veteran programs. I would never have to worry about funding for them, because all of it would be taken care of.
Wow. And so you have so much going on and doing so many great things. And the motivation, I mean, it's bleeding through the microphone and going through the airwaves and through the internet. I love it. So, but we all have to keep our tank full, especially, when we're high impact people like you are. And so what is the source of your motivation? What keeps you driving and pushing and taking on new projects? Most people would think just your educational pursuits alone would be enough. Just what you've done in the past would be enough. What's the source of your motivation to keep driving and pushing for the excellence that you're showing?
There's two big reasons that I do everything that I have to do. The first one, before I started Time Carolina, was to continue where they left off. And that was for the veterans or the service members that I'd lost due to war or due to suicide. So continue where they left off. They no longer have a voice. They no longer have the ability to be physical, physical in our presence. So I decided that I will continue whatever that they wanted to do, and I would put my best foot forward. And then secondly, I wasn't supposed to be alive right now. That's all the motivation you need. After I was diagnosed with cancer last year, I saw just how short
Wow.
life could be. You think you're invincible until somebody gives you a percentage of your chance to live. And once you hear that, it resonates with you as something that you must be prepared for. So I decided from that day on, if I wanted to do something, I was going to do it right then. There was no plan to see if I could hash it out or see if it was even possible. I was going to do it. And that's why I start everything with, I'm like running as soon as I out the gate. And that's how I live my life. It may be impulsive. It may be something that people think is absolutely crazy, but I will never, ever be able to say in my life that I didn't do something that I wanted to do. I will never tell anybody that I stopped short of my goals, ever. I'll never be able to say that.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and I was telling him, one of the things my dad used to say is, because people say, "Mom, I'm so old," and I've been around the sun, quite a few times now, and I've racked up some birthdays. But my dad used to say, you don't know how old you are unless you know how long you're going to live. If you're 70 years old and you're going to live to be 130, you're still relatively a young guy.
Exactly.
But if you're, 30 and you're going to expire at 32, then you're pretty old, right? And you've almost done everything that you're going to do. And so his point with that is what I'm hearing from you, which is very inspiring, especially to hear it from someone your age, is that you live every day to its fullest, to its maximum. And, success, doesn't require any excuses or any explanation, and failure doesn't accept any. And so to hear you talking with that type of passion, especially, with the adversity that you faced, because, no one would blame you if you went through the diagnosis that you did and you took, a year or two to have a pity party, right?
Right.
No one would say, oh, well, you need to get up and, somebody might. The right people would tell you you need to get up and you need to make.
Marija.
Yeah, Marija would tell you. But that's amazing and awesome and inspiring to me for that drive and that motivation. And, so here's one of the other things. I think you already answered one of the questions, but 10 years from now, when we're all reading the headlines about Ty Young, what are we going to be reading? What books are we going to be reading? What's the biopic going to look like 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I want somebody to say life as we know it and automatically bind with Ty and Carolina. Life as we know it for all of its intricate parts. I want to be not known, but represented by the people who came before me and the people that I'm driving the horse for. I want people to see my name and know that things are getting done. So I want them to see Time Carolina as a resource platform for veterans, and I want them to see that I'm hosting shows or that I'm on talk shows to bring up the important issues, but also to glamour the things that people are doing, to highlight their success, to highlight their past, their failures, their successes. I want Time Carolina to automatically bind with life as we know it. And I want people to be able to see that they have a reason to live no matter how hard it is. And if I do it for one person, then that makes everything worth it. 10 years from now, Time Carolina is going to be sitting on somebody's talk show, somebody's radio show, somebody's platform to speak, to say that life as we know it, you will get it done, it will be done, and carry on for when they couldn't. And that would mean the world to me.
By the way, that's outstanding. I'm gonna get us some shirts, some carry-on shirts, Urshel. I'm gonna order these bad boys.
All right.
We're gonna wear it.
We'll be wearing them right
after
here live.
Thanksgiving. Yes, sis.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that again, just inspired. It's probably no secret. I follow you on social media, and even on election day. I think it was my Instagram feed or Facebook, one of them, and I heard someone say something as she was jogging down the road on election day,
Yes.
literally running to the polls. And now no one has to motivate me to exercise my privilege, but of all the compelling ads and advertisements to get people out to vote, I don't know if you saw this, Marija, because I know you've been busy.
I did.
But the most compelling ad that I saw to get out and vote was someone saying, "If I can get my big ass out here
Yes,
and run to the polls, then you need to get out and vote." What were the responses that you had from that?
that was hilarious.
No excuses. People were like, I voted, I voted, I voted. I promise I did. I had messages, hundreds of messages from people saying, no, I did it last week during early voting, I promise. And I laughed at that because I literally had no intention of just trying to do that. I literally just had to do PT during that time slot.
Mhm.
And I know I should have voted early, but I didn't want to vote early because I wanted to influence those who were late to do it that day.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'm short of time. I have to do PT at this exact time. And I was like, oh, it's 1.2 miles. I can do that in an 8-minute pace. But I also need to record this. So I was literally flying down that street recording because I had to be to work at a certain time.
Ty, hold
So
on.
I was literally running.
So somebody was like, "This girl is." They say she is really running and recording. I was dying. I was like, "Yes." That's what.
And
She,
it was not intentional to I didn't even think, it wasn't like a premeditated thing. I literally was just running short of time and I had to do both and get to work on time. So I was like, look, got to do PT. So I was running as fast as I could. And it was raining and there was no sidewalk. It was the worst situation. But I'll be darned if I was not going to vote.
Wow.
That was going to happen.
Awesome. Well, I know another a big part of the things that move your heart is there are social causes that you're a part of. I mean, again, what I love is everybody defines what success is for them, and the impact that they want to have. But the thing that I keep hearing over and over again is not that you just want to do great things, and not that you just want to have an impact, but you care about things that are important. So what are some of the big social causes or the things that you're connecting to that you're putting your efforts behind that we can share with our audience and make sure that they know what you're doing and where and why?
Oh, wow. I'm so glad that you asked that. There's two big things: veteran homelessness, specifically female veteran homelessness, and that's Final Salute Incorporated, or Miss Veteran America, in which they house homeless female veterans. So I'm really passionate about that because the statistics are ridiculous. And people assume, what happened to the women? Always get these questions. Why? Well, where's the husband? Well, where's the dad when she becomes homeless? Well, why didn't she just stay in the military? And I tell them, why anything? Why anything? It could be cancer. You're going to get separated. You're not going to get paid 100% if they don't deem that. So we need to house them. So I'm really passionate about getting women that help that they don't have, because some shelters, believe it or not, don't accept male children over the age of 8. So your male child has to go to a male shelter. So then some states, it's just like that. So I'm really passionate about that. And then I'm also really passionate about, and I know this is always a hitter, of people understanding the reality of being Black. And it's such a tough decision to always have to bring that to people's faces because they think you're race baiting. But it's not that. It's because they're so honest and loving and caring that they can't see past anybody thinking that any color would determine how you feel about somebody. But I have to remind them that that's the same person that decides that college application. That's the same doctor. That's the same lawyer. And those people aren't as innocent or kind. So being Black is a big deal. I'm organically Black all day from the sun up to the sun down. And sometimes that precedes what I do, no matter how good I am. And so to break that barrier, to have that conversation, I have to say police brutality is ridiculous. This shouldn't happen. I have to say that security guard that just got killed by a police officer because they assumed he was the bad guy needs to be brought to your attention. This is why they kneel. And I can separate that as a veteran or as a currently serving member to say that I understand the cause of my people, but I can also support my country at the same time. So those are my two largest causes right now. And then I do also work with Bronze Star Homes, which does modular ramps for disabled veterans. And they also are building tiny homes, and I'm helping them build tiny homes so that we can provide places for veterans in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Awesome. That is amazing. And, those are, not easy topics because everyone doesn't want to get into those conversations. And, one of the things that we've been focusing on here is the delusion of consciousness based on your own experience. And so it's one of those things that we all have to make a conscious decision to, and I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, to care about more than what we care about, to care about more than just what impacts our life, to be able to choose to have empathy and understand in the best way that you can understand. There are things that I could never understand about the experience of being a woman or the experience of being a woman in the military. I was, joined the Marine Corps in the 80s, and, I did what I did and enjoyed it and had the challenges. But, the reality was I wasn't chased around the desk. I wasn't, cornered. These other things that people that I served with, women that I served with, was actually a regular part of their experience. And so even though I can know that, there's a difference between knowing it and understanding how that impacts a person, from the time, like you say, from the time they get up until the time that they lay down. It makes everything different, and really understanding that. So again, I appreciate you being willing to take those challenges. Well, we're coming up on the end of this second segment, and I know you got to go. I wish we could just extend this show for about 2 hours and hear any more things, but you got about 30 seconds. What's the last round you want to fire for our listening audience?
I want to tell you that if there's something on your heart, do it right now. Time is so limited when you think about 100 years. It's just not enough time for me. So if you found yourself today that you don't like what you do, or you found that you love something, just do it right now. It's worth it. It's worth to see yourself fail in it, because at least you tried. Every good success story starts with the I fail at least 3 to 4 times a day. And why not start right now? And I know it's hard. I know it feels like you want to give up, but I promise you, you are worth it. You are worth every single
person. Just having talked to you and had you on the radio, and I feel like an underachiever, even with the things that I've done. So I'm going to make a commitment to be better today, just because we talked to you this morning. Hey, you have a great day. We're going to be passing through Charlotte, North Carolina inside the next week, and I'm probably going to stop and see my uncle. So maybe if the time matches up, we can grab a cup of coffee. Thank you so much.
I will come see you.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back for our final segment in just a little bit. Have a great day. Thank you, Ty, for joining us.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you. Bye, Marija.
Bye, boo. She's so amazing. I love that girl.
Absolutely. That's what we want.
Yes.
My wife and I were discussing, and one of the other veterans that went through the entrepreneur training is reading a book and talking about something that we're all very familiar with, and really just that sense of the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you spend most of your time with, that are making the most deposits into all of your gates, your eye gate, your ear gate, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, how much of an impact that has on who you are today and who you'll become. And lots of people have said that in different ways. Show me your, 5 people that you spend the most time with. But
average of their salary and things of that nature.
Exactly. And so there's plenty of numbers and things to support that. But that's one of the main things that, as we look at this show and the things that we're doing professionally, one of the things that I want to focus on is having the type of people that, like sometimes when I'm around Cortez, I just think, again, I'm really underachieving. This guy, I met Cortez about a year before he got out of the Army. And he knew he was going to retire. He was looking forward to that. And he had already, through the business that he was doing, with his websites and online, and he had already replaced his E8. I think he was in E8 when he retired. He had replaced his income and his retirement income a year before he transitioned out of the military. And so one of the things I learned from Lady Next Door here, Botsford Financial Group, you hear her story and the things that she went through, just blew me away when I first watched the video. but she went through so much. As a little kid, I think there were 8 of them in her family, 6 or 8. Her father passed away when she was really young, and so they went from a upper middle class family to poverty basically overnight. He provided the only income. I think there was like a, if I remember correctly, like a $70,000 life insurance policy. There were 6 or 8 kids. Immediately they were in crisis. Immediately, and and she just talked about, everybody had to go and contribute, and one thing after another, working, and then 17 years old, she got into a car accident, and a guy on a motorcycle died, and and they brought charges against her for involuntary vehicular manslaughter, and she said the they told her mother, as her and her mother and her brother were sitting there, and they said, well, you've got 2 options. You can fight this in court and mount a defense, which is going to cost you a lot of money, or she can plead guilty and it won't cost you any money. And her mother looked at her, looked at her brother, and said, we're going to have to plead guilty, and because we don't have any money. And her brother convinced her to take out a second mortgage on the house, and they did, and they got the money, and she was found innocent. But she said, that's when I learned that money gives you options, and people understanding that, that there are options that are available, but you've got to position yourself to know and access those options. But being around people like that who have gone through adversity to get to where they are, people like Ty, who's battled cancer, done things when it's, if you don't know, if you haven't been in the military, forget in the military. You may have a high position job, or whatever, and then it puts constraints on
what you can and cannot say and do.
Exactly. And so now you have to consider, do I want to take a stand for something that I feel is right, or something that I care about, or do I want to just keep my mouth shut, or do I want to send an anonymous email that is not going to carry weight, or am I willing to risk something for what I care about? And so that's very and how old is Ty? I was gonna ask her, but I didn't.
She's mid-20s.
Mid-20s.
I ain't gonna disclose the exact age.
Hey,
She's
listen.
mid-20s.
Oh, we're live. All right, we're back for segment 3, and sorry about that. We were just bantering along, talking about good stuff that matters. But all right, so here we are with segment 3, and we had Ty Young, Time Carolina, and that's I sorry that I neglected, but you know what? I'll go on and post it. But I neglected to have her put out all the places where you can find her on social media. And so I know you heard her mention Ty M Carolina. So you can find her there. Her name is Ty Young. But yeah, just go out and she's definitely visible out there on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm sure Twitter, and probably all the other social media. That's kind of as far as I go, is Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But I know that there are other things happening out there. I've never made the jump to Snapchat, but those are just some of the ways that you can find her. But I'll go and post it on the Facebook Live, and in Urshel Speaks on the Facebook platform, and even on social media. We'll go ahead and post, and so where to connect with Ty Young, and the things that she's doing, the Carry On clothing line, and maybe you need her services. Maybe for your business or the things that you're trying to accomplish. Maybe she can help you get to where you're trying to go. When I hear someone say that, I'm doing what I'm doing for the veteran community, and I want to do that for free. So for that reason, I'm doing twice as much over here. I'm working even harder in this area, and I'm leveraging the opportunities that she has with the NFL. I see her on giving away tickets to football games and things like that, and connecting with these NFL players. She's doing double time on one side, so she can serve the communities that she cares about without cost. And so that's someone that we want to, be connected with. I want to be connected with winners. I want to be connected with people that are making it happen, no matter what the walls, no matter what the adversity, no matter what the challenges are in front of them. And I want to be connected with people that are doing good. and doing great things. Because again, success, is measured by every person a little bit differently. And with her, it's obviously about impact. The interesting thing is, and I'm not poo pooing this at all. In everything that I heard her talking about, what I didn't hear her talk about is how much money she wants to make. How she wants her business to blow up, and again, and I know people that are that way. I have certain motivations financially, and so there's nothing wrong with that. But what I really love is just hearing the passion and the purpose behind what she's doing and what she wants to accomplish. So that's a good thing for us all to take stock in is, why are we doing why do I want to be successful in this area? And how will my success individually make the world a better place? How will it do? How will it impact the people around me, or will anybody know? I think I posted on social media a while back on Instagram, when you die, will you leave a legacy or a void? And maybe even better, it might have been more poetic if I'd have said a legacy or a vacancy. And one of my friends had a great answer to that. And he said, hopefully both. And so, and I think that that's a good answer too. I want to live in a way that there is legacy and there is impact, something that lives on far longer than I do. But I also want to be a great enough human that when I'm gone, there is a void, that there's something worth missing about, my presence and my impact in people's lives. But the train doesn't stop. Things keep happening and things keep moving. So that's great. What do you think about the conversation with Ty? I know you guys have history.
I can't wait. So when I think of a strong woman, especially a veteran, so Veterans Day, we celebrate and honor our veterans, but she's one of those veterans that she put service before self. And that's one of the Army ethos. That's something that we stood for. That's a part of our ethics or whatnot. And when I see someone like that, that's so passionate and putting others before herself, all the way around, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I need everyone to really wake up, because there's so many people out there and so many veterans that's doing great things.
Right.
Because we have this stigmatism, right? Or stigma or whatever, just something so negative about a veteran. But you see veterans like that paving the way for our younger generation and fighting all the way to the top. So that conversation was amazing. I wish it was longer. But
we'll definitely have her back.
But we really need to get her information and make sure we post it. So we have to grab her information. So not only listen and follow, but support.
Yeah. And, and I really haven't thought about it this way. Our producer and the, I think his official title is the Chief Monkey Butt of KVGI Radio and KVGI Studios, and KVGI takes over the world. Mark Warner, he brought me this beautiful coffee tumbler. And, that is part of an organization that he's very passionate about called Project Reload, and working more on the demand side of opportunities, creating opportunities for veterans with business owners and C-suite level people. And, I've never really put a lot of thought into this. We're at a time, and I don't know what the numbers look like after this election. I know we talked about some of the websites that talk about all the veterans that were running for office on the federal level in this past election, because we're at a time in our nation where we have the lowest percentage of people on a federal level, congressmen, senators, even our commander-in-chief, and the last two commanders-in-chief who have not served in the military. And so there's a lot of veterans that have been running and that are taking more of a place. But it's interesting to think about the fact that people who serve somehow are at a disadvantage. And how did we get to that point? I remember, I was involved very heavily in things. So I guess we'll make our third segment, our veteran segment today. I remember, in high school being, extremely active, extremely popular, great student. I loved school, and I was heavy into sports, heavy into theater, a lot of things. And I remember when I joined the Marine Corps, And when I actually got my paperwork that I had enlisted, um, and sharing that with some of my teachers, and I had two teachers that were extremely disappointed that I chose to join the Marine Corps.
Mm.
And one of them looked at me like she was about to cry, and she said, "Why would you do that? What a waste of talent." And I thought, okay, well, where would you want, literally, where would you want the best talent to be? In if you were going to start a country and raise up your own nation, where do you want the most talented people to be? And would you want some of them to be the ones that are protecting? And here's the other thing that I think people don't think about: the military is not just about going off. In the Marine Corps, obviously we talk about, we're, life takers and heartbreakers. We talk about fighting and stuff all the time, right? But guess what?
Everybody don't fight.
Everybody doesn't fight, and that's not all you do. Some of the greatest innovation, some of the greatest technology, some of the even medicine and medical
Yes.
procedures
Yes.
come from those that are serving in the military. And so it's not just about, okay, well, these people will be good workers because they're used to working hard. These people are at the tip of the spear in so many areas, of advancement, while they're serving on active duty. And then you get to do it. I mean, again, if you're going into the medical field, and if let's say you have a physical crisis, a car accident, or something that sends you to the emergency room, which doctor would you rather have? Which nurse would you rather have? Would you rather have someone that has dealt with trauma on a military level and a military sense of urgency under sometimes the most challenging conditions? If you're on a plane and there's some extreme turbulence or an engine problem, would you rather have a pilot that has flown under military circumstances and military danger, and can be calm, and handle the situation? So I think that that's one of those things, and I know that these are some of the things that they talk about with Project Reload. But I think those are some of the things that I don't even think we think about it as veterans. We think about it as much that way, but I don't know. I don't know where the conversation changed for our nation, that veterans aren't considered in the highest esteem or the highest qualifications, because there was a time when it was hard. I mean, that was one of the things that meant the most. And then there became a time where people, they didn't wear I was talking to an older gentleman today, or yesterday, and he's talking about it. He said, we didn't wear our uniforms out in town. We didn't go out, and because we were obviously talking about Veterans Day,
Yeah.
and he was like, yeah, we weren't going out asking, do you give a veteran discount? We were trying to just assimilate back into the society that, to them, it's like this society kind of sprung up on them while they were out protecting and providing freedom, and fighting the wars that they'd been called to fight. And so I love the fact that we have, I believe, a crop of veterans and service members that are coming up that are not just fighting the fights that they're called to fight, but people like Ty, people like Cortez, people like you, Marija, that are saying, you know what, I'm gonna go pick a fight. I'm gonna take on something. I'm gonna do something great that is going to impact other people's lives, because people have to be better. And I know maybe we talked about it a little bit, but you came into the entrepreneur training based on, your skills, and you highly qualified as process improvement and a Lean Six Sigma black belt, master black belt. But it was really interesting. I remember going home and talking about it in my office, and saying, this woman is extremely qualified. She's, got all of these skills, and I think a great business opportunity and plan that's needed. But then all of a sudden the conversation changed one day when you and I were talking, and there was this passion about helping people transition and wanting to monetize that. And so When you weigh those two things, how do you know which one is the harder driver internally, the business or the veteran transition business opportunity?
It depends on what day it is. But seriously, the veteran transition is real near dear to my heart because last week I had the opportunity to speak at the University of North Texas, the Dallas location, to a student body of veterans. And we were just discussing, open dialogue about our stories and basically how do you transition, how to prepare yourself once you exit college or whatnot, and what challenges you would face.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so sad because I saw a piece of me in every last one of those kids that was present.
Oh wow.
They're so young. And just knowing that they went from the military into a university, still structured, and now they're about to exit and graduate in a couple more years and go into the civilian sector. And you have to be so positive and you have to keep each other lifted because they will get broken down real quick. Because the only time I really see our country come together for at least our veterans, last time was September 11th, unfortunately.
Wow.
And we ran hard for 3 to 4 years.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, just out of the blue, we have this disarray within the country. We have division within our country. So I don't know why it has to take something drastic for us to come together and appreciate our veterans. If not, just start taking in that military service member and understanding what they do. I know they have different programs out there, and they're trying to bridge the gaps, especially in corporate America. So I ran into a gentleman last week, which that's his business. I would love to bring him on one day.
Okay.
But it's just my passion to help us.
Yeah.
Because when I exit, it was just me.
Right.
Probably a piece of that is because I wanted to be alone.
Right. Which is
I had
common.
to, exactly.
Right.
I had to decompress because it was so much. You have to look at, I was a military child, a military spouse, and I was in the military myself. 2 different branches. Military overload.
Right.
So, yeah, but transitioning my veterans, that's my heart.
Yeah. And that's one of those things. And again, had another recent conversation about, how the military should do a better job of transitioning people out. And, and I'm not sure if that's what the military needs to do. Kind of my opinion is the military needs to make me the best at being what they've trained me to do. And I would prefer, personally, this is my opinion, I would prefer that you did it. I would prefer that someone in the private sector did it. I would prefer that someone who has created success outside of the military, whether they do it as a nonprofit or a for-profit or whatever, that we create these opportunities like what you're doing, like what the military influencer conference is doing, and providing these steps. And I've got an idea, and there might even be a book in the near future called The Golden Footprints of how to, because, for Marines, we all start out on these yellow footprints, and every Marine stands on those yellow footprints. I love that little look you get on your face every time I talk about the Marine Corps.
Guys, I'm Air Force and Army, so right now I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm in a room with a Marine. I'm just kidding.
So she feels safe. And
True.
But so there's those yellow footprints we stand on, but then there's this transition out of the golden footprints, and I like the fact that people who have made that transition, who have gone through the adversity, and not just and don't take this the wrong way, but not just some civil servant who is getting paid to give a class about resumes, because I don't think that that's where the real power is. I think the real power is those that have walked that path and who want to come back and lead. And I'm happy if they make a profit off of it, because that's the American way. I'm a capitalist, baby. All right, so this is we're going to wrap up the show here today. I want you to have a happy Tuesday. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, make sure you stay warm if you haven't gone outside, because it is cold. Baby, it's cold outside. Have a great Tuesday. Make it the best day ever, and then turn around tomorrow and do it again. Funny part is, initially I thought that was her, Carolina was her name.
Oh, no.
Yeah.